You're already in the basement when you realize the cat has stopped breathing. Not literally, its chest still rises in quick, shallow bursts against your wrist, but the sound, the soft, wheezy purr that's been vibrating against your skin since you carried it down the stairs, is gone, cut off as cleanly as if someone lifted a needle from a spinning record. You freeze. The flashlight beam in your hand trembles across the concrete floor, painting erratic lines over dust and old gum stains and fallen ceiling tiles that look like bones. The air down here feels wrong, too still, too heavy, as if the school has been holding its breath for 30 years and chose this exact moment to exhale on you. The cat's claws tighten through your jacket sleeve. It stares at the floor, not at the dark hallway opening into deeper darkness, not at the locked door behind you, but at one cracked square of linoleum right in front of your knees. Its ears flatten, tail puffing, a low, nearly silent sound fizzing in its throat like static. You follow its gaze. The tile is nothing at first glance, just one more square in a grid of off-white and faint green, all scuffed by shoes that will never come back. But this one has a hairline crack curling through it, a faint crescent like a fingernail mark, the sort of detail anyone else would miss. You wouldn't be down here if you were anyone else. The cat reaches out and taps the tile once, soft, deliberate. Taboo. You hear it. Not just the contact, the tiny click of claw on old plastic, but something underneath, a hollowness, a faint, different note where there should be solid concrete. Taboo. There it is again, a shallow echo that doesn't belong in this sealed, forgotten place. You swallow, your tongue tastes like dust and rust and old chalk. Behind you, the silence of the abandoned school presses down through the ceiling, empty classrooms, frozen posters, peeling paint, the faint ghost of children's laughter trapped in the walls. Above all that, the outside world, the town, the street, the life you're supposed to be patching together. The life you lost when he died. You blink hard until the wetness in your eyes recedes. Not now. You didn't come here to think about him. That's a lie and you know it, but you don't correct yourself. Instead, you shift the flashlight to your teeth, clenching the cold metal between them so you can use both hands. The beam swings crazily over cinder-block walls, a half-collapsed bookshelf, a mold-flecked bulletin board still advertising a bake sale from 1994. The cat doesn't look up. It taps the tile again, more urgently. Taboo, taboo. You want what's under there, you murmur around the flashlight, your words muffled by the metal cylinder. Your voice sounds small in the basement, swallowed almost immediately. Of course you do. You set the cat down. It immediately shifts sideways so it's between you and the tile, like it's guarding something and inviting you in at the same time. Your fingers hover over the crack. The linoleum is cold, colder than it should be. The chill bites through your skin, up the bones of your hand. You slide your fingernail into the gap and feel the faintest give. Behind your teeth, the flashlight hums softly. And somewhere deep in the school, far above your head, something creaks, a long, low groan of old wood settling or something else moving. You hold still, every muscle suddenly stiff. The sound dies away. Nothing follows. No footsteps, no doors, no voices. Just the small rasp of the cat's breath and the soft buzz of your own pulse in your ears. You're losing it, you tell yourself, and some distant part of you answers. You lost it a long time ago. You push the tile. It shifts barely, but enough. The cat's tail lashes once, twice. Its eyes are huge green discs reflecting the light, making it look almost luminous in the dark. You push again, harder this time, and the corner of the tile lifts with a dry, tearing sound. That's when you smell it. Not rot, not mold, something else. Paper, old plastic. The faint, sour-sweet smell of aged glue and batteries long drained. The scent hooks into something behind your ribs, into evenings years ago, sitting on a second-hand couch with him, rewinding cassette tapes with a pencil while he laughed at the commercials. You let the tile fall shut with a slap. The cat flinches, then digs both front paws into the edge, scrabbling, meowing in a short, desperate burst that bounces off the walls like a question you can't ignore. You spit the flashlight into your hand, coughing as the metal scrapes your lip. Okay, you whisper, because it's easier than saying, I'm scared, and you're alone enough that you don't have to pretend otherwise. Okay, we'll see it. We'll see whatever it is, and then we leave. Deal. The cat doesn't answer. It just keeps scratching. You pry the tile up. It comes free with a reluctant crack, bending slightly as you pull it back. Underneath, a square cavity has been carved into the concrete, just deep enough to hold a small plastic box, the kind you used to keep pens in. the kind kids decorated with stickers and secret crushes written on little folded notes. This one is wrapped in clear tape, yellowed at the edges. Your breath changes. It doesn't catch, doesn't stop. It just feels heavier, like each inhale is climbing uphill. You can't explain why your eyes sting again, why you're suddenly back in your old living room, cardboard boxes everywhere, your husband's handwriting on labels you refuse to unpack after the funeral. Careful, you reach down. The box is cold and sticky. As your fingers close around it, you realize they're shaking. Not lightly, tremors ripple all the way up your forearm, like your body is warning you this is a bad idea, that nothing good ever comes from opening things that were meant to stay buried. You lift it out anyway. Beside you, the cat goes utterly still. No purring, no scratching, just a small, watchful presence pressed against your knee. The tape peels up with a brittle ripping, flakes of adhesive drifting into the air like tiny dust motes. Underneath, the lid gives way with a faint pop. Inside is a cassette tape. Clear plastic white reels, a label peeling up on one corner, the writing faded but still legible in that round, careful way some kids have when they're trying to be neat. You bring it closer to the flashlight. 2 words. Just listen. Your skin prickles. It feels like the words are directed at you, right now, in this moment, even though you're decades too late. You turn the cassette over. On the back, written smaller, almost crammed into the space. November 3, 1994. If you found this, I didn't chicken out. The date hangs there in your mind, suspended like dust in the beam of your flashlight. You were what, 9, 10, 3rd grade, worrying about science projects and whose house you'd be allowed to sleep over at. Back when grief was something that happened to other people, in other towns, in movies you turned off if they got too sad. Your fingers curl around the cassette until the corners bite into your palm. Just listen. What do you think? You ask the cat, because talking to a living thing, even a small silent one, makes your thoughts feel less like they're echoing in a void. This is stupid, right? I should take this and leave. I should be home. I should be anywhere but here. The basement answers with more silence. You close your eyes and for a second you're upstairs again, in the hallway outside your daughter's room, her light off, her door closed. You standing there with a glass of water you know she won't drink and words in your throat you can't force out. She hasn't called you Mom in weeks, not out loud. You came here instead of trying again. The realization slides in quietly, but once it's there, it doesn't leave. You came to an abandoned school to chase a stray cat because it was easier than knocking on your own child's door. That's when the narrator in your head, the one that sounds too much like your therapist, whispers, "So what are you looking for here?" You open your eyes before the answer can form. The cat has moved. It's no longer pressed against your leg. It sits a little farther away now, watching you with that unnerving intensity animals get when they focus on something beyond human senses. Its ears are angled not at you, not at the open hole in the floor, but at the far end of the basement, where the darkness thickens into a solid wall. You hear nothing, see nothing, but your skin tightens along your arms all the same. Stop, you tell yourself quietly. You always do this. You imagine things and then a sound cuts through your thoughts. A faint mechanical clack. You spin around, flashlight jerking toward the noise. Every nerve in your body braces for footsteps, for the scrape of a door, for something alive that isn't supposed to be here. Instead, the beam lands on a battered gray rectangle, half buried under a fallen box of textbooks. A tape recorder. Like the ones they used in the language lab when you were a kid, dual speakers. Big chunky buttons, color rubbed off in the middle. A coiled power cord lies like a sleeping snake beside it, unplugged from anything. You could swear it wasn't there when you came in. Of course it was, you tell yourself. You just didn't notice. You were watching the cat, worrying about your phone's signal, telling yourself you'd only stay for 5 minutes tops. But the unease sticks, because the recorder is facing you, perfectly aligned, as if someone placed it carefully and stepped back, waiting. The cat lets out a short, demanding meow. You flinch, then laugh once, too sharply. The sound bounces off the walls and comes back thinner. Fine, you say, your voice cracks on the single word. Fine, you win. You cross the basement, careful to step around the hole in the floor. The concrete is uneven, small bits of gravel crunching under your boots. The air grows cooler as you move toward the recorder, as if the temperature drops with each step. You crouch down and brush dust from its surface. The plastic feels dry, almost chalky. When you press the eject button, nothing happens. You press harder. There's a stubborn resistance, like something jammed the mechanism, then a sudden give. The compartment door pops open with a sigh, revealing an empty slot. You look back at the cassette in your hand. Just listen. Whoever wrote that label couldn't have known you'd be the one reading it decades later. They couldn't have guessed you'd be a woman with half-healed grief and a daughter who won't look you in the eye, that you'd be following a stray cat into an abandoned memory of childhood. But they wrote it anyway, as if they believed anyone would care enough to hear them. You slide the tape into the recorder. The cat's claws click faintly on the floor as it comes closer, hovering at your shoulder, whiskers almost brushing your cheek. You can feel the warmth of its small body, the faint vibration under its ribs trying to become a purr and failing. For a beat, you hesitate, finger hovering over the play button. There's still time to stop, to take the tape and leave, to chalk whatever you're feeling up to nostalgia and dust and a brain that's been living in survival mode too long. But you know you won't. So does something else, far in your future, watching you in this moment. You press play. At first, there's only static, a low rush like waves on a radio shoreline. The recorder's reels begin to turn with a soft whirring sound. Dust motes swirl in the flashlight beam, catching the light like tiny planets. Then the static clears. A breath, young, unsteady, someone very small drawing air close to the microphone. Okay, a voice says, thin and high and trying very hard to be brave. Okay, my name is. The tape distorts, warping the name into a smear of sound. You lean closer, heart pounding against your ribs. The voice continues. If you're listening, then I guess I did it. I left this. I'm not supposed to be here. They said it's dangerous. They said the basement is off limits, but... A tiny sniffle. You can almost see the kid wiping their nose on a sleeve. But I had to hide it. I had to say this somewhere, because I remember, even if they don't. The hair along the back of your neck stiffens. There's a pause on the tape, filled only with the soft hum of the machine. You can hear the child breathing, quick little pulls, like each inhale is a decision. Then in a tone that suddenly sounds older than it should, the voice says, "You don't know me yet, but one day you will. Jules, you'll know me better than anyone. And if you're here, if you found this, then maybe something went wrong." The cat's ears flick. Your fingers curl tighter around the edge of the recorder. The child inhales again, and this time when they speak, they shape a word that slices straight through the years and lands in your chest. Your nickname. The one only one person ever used. The one your husband whispered into your hair when the baby finally stopped crying at 3 a.m. The one he wrote on sticky notes and left on your coffee mug. The voice on the tape says it perfectly. Same lilting cadence, same slight emphasis on the second syllable. Your heart forgets what it's supposed to be doing. Static rushes back into the speakers, swallowing whatever comes next. You stare at the recorder as if you can force the tape to rewind with your eyes alone, with the sheer weight of the question that's just dropped into your life like a stone. How does a child in 1994 know a name that didn't belong to you until the man you married gave it to you? The cat presses against your side, fur bristling, eyes fixed on the darkness beyond the flashlight beam, on some place you can't see yet but are already moving toward. The tape clicks softly, still turning. You don't breathe for a full 3 seconds. The nickname drifts through the basement air like cigarette smoke, thin, lingering, impossible to ignore. It shouldn't be here. It shouldn't exist. Not in this place. Not from a child's voice recorded before you were even old enough to scrape your knees on playground asphalt. The cat feels your sudden stillness. Its tail curls around your ankle, brushing back and forth, a small, grounding metronome. The recorder crackles, the tape warping slightly, then the child's voice returns, soft again, timid, like it's afraid of its own echo. I don't know if anyone else remembers. Maybe they don't want to. Grown-ups forget things on purpose. Your tongue presses against the roof of your mouth. The air tastes like chalk dust and old secrets. The child continues. But I didn't. I remember everything that happened that day, and I'm going to tell you. Maybe if someone hears it, maybe it won't happen again. Your pulse stutters. That day, what days? The cat nudges your arm with its nose, impatient, urging you closer to the recorder, as if it understands before you do that this moment is a door you can't close now. You hit the rewind button, then stop, then rewind again. The machine whirs, the reel spinning backward, and you watch your fingers as if they belong to someone else. The basement seems to lean in, the walls listening. You press play. Static breath, then. You'll know me better than anyone. There it is again, your nickname, younger, higher, brighter, perfectly wrong. You jerk your hand back as if the recorder bit you. The cat jumps at the sudden movement, then circles you, tail puffed, pupils blown wide. You force yourself to stand, your knees argue. The basement suddenly feels too small, as if the air has thickened between the cinder blocks, compressing you inward. You take 2 steps back before you realize you're retreating. You shake your head hard. No, the word comes out rough. No, that's not possible. Your voice sounds like someone else's, thinner, scraped raw at the edges. The nickname belonged to one person, him. Your husband. You can still hear how he said it, half laughing, half asleep, as if the name belonged to a private language only the 2 of you spoke, a soft murmur in that smoky, too-tired voice of his. You run a thumb hard along your wrist, a grounding habit your therapist taught you. The pressure helps, the spinning in your chest settles into something more manageable. The cat pads toward the far wall. Its ears flick toward the old wooden support beam where the darkness collects like water in a basin. You can't see anything, but the cat's fur stands on end. Something is down here with you. Not necessarily alive, not necessarily dangerous, but present. You swallow, and the sound is loud in your ears. I'm leaving, you say, more to yourself than the cat. I need air, I need to think. You reach for the recorder, then freeze halfway. The tape is still turning. Soft static hisses under a child's shaky inhale, and the voice returns in a whisper that feels too close. If you're still listening, I'm sorry. Sorry for what? You kneel again, slow this time, careful. You don't want to spook yourself more than you already have. Your flashlight beam trembles across the floor, scattering shadows like insects. The recorder crackles louder. The child continues, voice wobbling. I didn't mean to follow him, I didn't mean to hear, but he said your name and I thought maybe you were in trouble. You choke on your own breath. The cat steps closer, brushing its flank against your shin. The movement steadies you but doesn't settle the shaking deep in your bones. Your name, the one from before marriage, isn't spoken, only the nickname and the pronoun. Him, the only man who ever used that name for you. You fist your hand in the cat's fur, needing something warm, something alive. The child on the tape sniffles. I saw them go downstairs, so I followed, but when I got here, they were gone, like the dark swallowed them. A sound slips from your throat, not quite a gasp, not quite a prayer. Gone downstairs, this basement. Your lungs feel tight, as if they're trying to shrink away from the air itself. The child continues. So I'm leaving this. If you find it, please don't be mad. I didn't know what else to do. The tape screeches suddenly, metal grinding, the audio distorting. The recorder whines as if resisting the memory. Then it stops. No warning, just silence. You lunge for the controls, pressing play again, then REW, then play, but the machine only groans, clicking as though something inside it has jammed. The cat backs up, fur fluffed, tail straight like a warning flag. The basement shifts around you, not physically, just in the way abandoned spaces do when your fear decides to reinterpret them. Shadows seem thicker, corners farther. The light from your flashlight suddenly feels insufficient, like it's being swallowed faster than it should be. You should leave. You know you should, every instinct insists. Your therapist's voice, steady, measured, echoes in your head. Grief will make you think the past is speaking to you, but the past is gone. You're safe in the present. Touch something real. Breathe. The cat meows sharply, as if offended by the suggestion of leaving. You gather the cassette, the recorder, and the cat in one awkward armful and head for the stairs. Your footsteps echo too loudly on the concrete. Each step creaks with exaggerated weight. You try to keep your breathing even, but the air feels thin. When you reach the stairs, you notice something you should have seen earlier. The basement door, heavy metal, now stands cracked open. You didn't leave it that way. A shiver climbs your spine, crawling vertebra by vertebra. Maybe it drifted, you whisper, though the door weighs almost as much as your daughter did when she was born. It's old, everything's old, it could shift. The cat hisses at the doorframe. You climb the stairs quickly, every step punctuated by the hollow thud of your boots on wood. Your hand closes around the rail, cold, splintered, familiar in the way forgotten childhood places sometimes feel familiar. You push the door open fully and step into the hallway. Sunlight bleeds across the floor from the cracked windows above, striping the old linoleum in bright, dusty gold. The abandoned classrooms stretch in two directions, open doors yawning dark and silent. Posters of animals and multiplication tables cling weakly to the walls. You don't move. The air up here is warmer, softer, easier to breathe, but your fingertips still tingle from the recorder's plastic. Your mind is three places at once. Here in this forgotten school hallway. Downstairs in front of that cracked tile. And years ago in your living room, your husband's laugh muffled against your shoulder as he pressed your nickname into your neck. You blink hard until the sting behind your eyes settles. The cat slips out of your arms and pads down the hall, tail flicking, glancing back as if saying, "Come on, we aren't done." You should ignore it. You should walk outside into the real world, into the sunlight. You should get in your car. You should go home to your daughter. Apologize again. Try again. But you follow the cat. Of course you do. Because something in you has shifted, clicking into place the way the tile clicked in the basement. Some old part of you thought grief had scraped hollow suddenly hums with anticipation. The cat leads you to the end of the hall, where the principal's office door hangs slightly ajar. Someone, decades ago, wrote "out for lunch" on a sticky note and left it taped crookedly to the window. Inside, dust blankets everything: desks, chairs, shelves lined with binders. Sunlight slants through the blinds, striping the room in layered shadow. The cat hops onto the principal's desk and paws at a drawer. You set the recorder down and pull the drawer open. Inside lies another cassette. This one is red. Your stomach flips. Its label reads, "For later." The cat sits back, tail curling around its paws, watching you with an almost human patience. You pick up the red cassette, turning it between your fingers. It's lighter than you expect. The label is newer, less yellowed, less worn, either stored better or added later. Decades later. Your pulse hammers like a fist on the inside of your ribs. Who put this here? Why 2 tapes? Why you? You look down at the recorder. Dust still clings to its sides, but the buttons gleam faintly where your fingers touched it earlier. The stop button is raised slightly, as if someone pressed it mid-sentence. You swallow the dryness in your throat. You press play. Silence. Then, a voice not a child's. Older, warmer, deeper, familiar enough that your knees soften. Your husband. And he sounds terrified. Your husband's voice doesn't come softly. It breaks into the room like a hand gripping your shoulder from behind, urgent, breathless, recorded too close to the microphone. The tape wobbles with the force of his first word. Listen. Your heart lurches, not the simple stumble of surprise, but something deeper, like an elevator cable snapped somewhere inside your ribcage. You grip the desk edge, knuckles whitening. The cat senses the shift. It stands, fur flattening as if bracing itself too, tail lowering in cautious curiosity. Your husband's voice fills the principal's office. If you found this, I'm sorry. I didn't want you here. You shouldn't be here. The warmth in his tone, familiar, beloved, threads through every syllable, but underneath it runs something else, fear sharpened into a fragile edge. You sink slowly into the cracked vinyl chair behind the desk. Its metal frame squeals under your weight, the sound slicing through the dust-laden stillness. The tape crackles. Your husband exhales sharply. I don't know how much time I have before someone notices I left this. I don't even know who will find it, but if it's you. Your lungs seize for a moment. The way he says you is unmistakable, not general, not a stranger, you. If it's you, then something went wrong. The cat steps onto your thigh, pressing its cold nose to your wrist, grounding you as your pulse tries to outrun reason. Your husband continues. I'm trying to stop it. I swear I'm trying, but it's getting worse. A deep scrape sounds in the recording, metal dragging against concrete, then hurried footsteps. His breath grows uneven. You lean closer as if proximity could bridge the years. Your hands tremble, but not like before. It's not fear alone this time. It's recognition. This was him, alive, afraid, desperate, recording words meant for someone he thought might someday need them. But how could he have come here? You never knew him as a child. He grew up 2 towns over. Never once did he mention this school, never mentioned anything like this. On the tape, something heavy slams, a door, then his voice, urgent. It wasn't supposed to start yet, I thought. Static fuzzes over the next second of audio, swallowing the rest of the sentence. You shift the recorder an inch, as if coaxing clarity. The cat flinches at the sudden burst of static, then hops off your lap, tail flicking in agitation. Your husband's voice comes back in a strained whisper. Basements don't open, not alone. Your breath thins. He struggles to speak through static, as if something around him was interfering. If you hear the first tape, don't go down there again. Not without light, not without someone who knows. Knows what? You glance at the doorway. The hallway behind you feels suddenly too quiet, too long. The air holds a pressure you didn't notice before, a faint hum as if something beyond the walls has been vibrating for decades, waiting. Your husband inhales sharply. I saw him, the boy from before. Before. Footsteps slam again, running this time. His breath hitches mid-stride. I don't understand why he remembers. He shouldn't. None of them should remember. Your fingers curl inward. Your throat tightens around a question you can't form. Them. Your husband whispers. It started in that basement, and it's starting again. If you're hearing this, then the loop didn't break. Your stomach sinks. Loop. The word clings to the dusty air, heavy and foreign. Your husband's voice drops to a hush. They followed him, I think they'll follow you too. The tape stutters, sound skewing as if something brushed against the microphone. A scrape, breath, then. Don't trust the... A shrill warping noise slices the sentence in half. Then silence. Not tape hiss, not static. Perfect, smothered silence. You don't move, not even when the cat nudges your side with its head. His voice, your husband's voice, came from a place he should never have been, from a time he never mentioned, from a school he had no reason to enter. Dead men don't leave new warnings. Dead men don't talk about boys who remember what they shouldn't. And dead men don't know you'd follow a cat into a basement 30 years after he recorded his fear on cheap plastic. Your hands drift to the recorder again, desperate for warmth he once gave you, but the machine is cold, dusty, lifeless. You press play. Nothing. Fast forward, rewind, stop, eject. You slide the tape out. The reels no longer turn. The tape ribbon inside has snapped cleanly, like something pulled it backwards too fast. You stare at the broken film, thin as regret. The cat taps your boot. Its eyes lift toward the hallway as if urging. Move, something else is here. You gather both tapes, the clear one, the red one, and slip them into your jacket. The cat hops to your shoulder, claws digging lightly into the fabric for balance. You leave the office. The hallway outside seems longer now, taller. The posters, rainbow letters teaching multiplication, cartoon animals hanging from motivational slogans feel wrong, like they've been watching you. Dust floats lazily in sunlight trickling through cracked windows. The bright beams feel artificial, too stiff, as if someone painted the light rather than let it spill naturally. You step forward. The cat tenses, ears swiveling toward the classroom on your left. Room 12. The sign above the door hangs crooked, one screw missing. Someone once taped a paper star beneath it, now faded into a blank square. You don't want to look inside. You still do. The door groans as you push it open. The room is preserved, frozen like a memory you were never meant to see. Desks arranged in small clusters, a chalkboard covered in half-erased math problems. A terrarium sits empty by the window, sand dried into cracked islands. A wall clock, its hands stopped at 11:14. You step deeper. Your shoes crunch over something. You kneel. Glass. A tiny jar lies shattered, a jar labeled Found ITEMS. A few marbles scatter like frozen tears. A single bead shaped like a star glints among them. When you touch it, something shifts behind your eyes. A flash. Not vision, memory, a feeling more than image. Small hands. A dim hallway. Something moving in the dark. Someone whispering, "Don't look back." You jerk away from the bead as if burned. The cat jumps onto a desk, its tail swishing slow, deliberate arcs that say yes. You felt it too. A low creaking sound shivers through the ceiling. You straighten, the ceiling tiles tremble slightly, not from footsteps. This isn't the soft thump of weight, it's breathing. A slow, rhythmic expansion. A settling. The exhale of a place remembering you. Your skin tightens. You step backward until you're out of the classroom. The hallway is worse now. The sunlight has shifted, no tilted, as if the angle of the sun outside changed impossibly fast or the building rotated around you. You need to leave, you whisper, but the words feel weightless, evaporating as soon as they hit the air. The cat meows low, almost pleading. It walks toward the stairwell leading back down. You freeze. No, you tell it, we are not going back down there. But the cat isn't looking at the basement door. It's looking at the second floor. The stairs leading up. A chill runs through your legs, blooming like frost. You step toward the staircase despite every rational thought clamoring the opposite. As you reach the first step, something shifts above you, just a faint rustle like fabric brushing tile. You lift your flashlight. At the top of the stairs, framed in the dim hallway, stands a small figure. A child. You stop breathing. The child is still, perfectly still, too still for someone alive. You can't make out their face, only the outline, the height, the shape. A boy. Your heart punches against your ribs once, twice, as if trying to break free. He tilts his head. Something in the gesture feels terribly familiar. Then he steps back. Not turning. Just gliding backward into the shadows, silent as dust falling. The cat darts up the stairs. No, you hiss, reaching instinctively, but your hand closes on empty air. The cat is gone. Your pulse thunders, your throat tightens as if an unseen hand presses lightly there. You stare at the space where the boy stood. Your husband's warning unspools in your mind. I saw him, the boy from before. Before what? You grip the railing, feeling the cold metal bite your palm. You should leave. You know you should. But the cat, your only connection to this entire trail, has vanished up the stairs. And you hear it faintly now, a soft, high sound drifting from the second floor. Not speech. Not meowings. A child humming. You know the melodies. A lullaby your husband used to sing to your daughter. You step onto the next stair. And the next. The humming stops. You lift your flashlight, breath trapped somewhere between your heart and your mouth. At the top of the stairs, written in sloppy chalk across the wall, is a message. You came back. Your knees weaken. You've never been here before. You stand frozen at the top of the stairs, the chalk message glaring at you from the wall like an accusation. You came back. The letters are uneven, jagged, pressed so hard into the chalk-dry paint that white dust coats the floor beneath them, a fresh layer, not 30 years old. Your breath stutters, then shifts into something more deliberate, like your body is rationing each inhale. You raise the flashlight. The beam catches the chalk particles drifting gently in the air, floating like disturbed ash. The scent of chalk, sharp, mineral, sterile, cuts through the decades of dust, so fresh it makes your eyes prickle. Someone wrote this recently. Or something. The cat is nowhere in sight. A hollow ache forms just beneath your ribs as if a cold hand is curling there. You listen hard, no humming, no footsteps, no small claws tapping across tile, just the faint hum of the building's old electrical wires, dead but still whispering in the walls. You force yourself forward. The chalk dissolves slightly under your fingertips, smearing white across your skin, It feels like the residue of forgotten moments, powdery, fragile, easy to lose. The hallway ahead stretches long and dim. The windows here are dirt-streaked, letting in thin, fractured beams of light that break across the floor in uneven bars. Half the doors are open, black interiors yawning back like hollowed eye sockets. You step deeper. Each footstep cracks softly through layers of neglect. You move past. Room 21, door off its hinges. Room 22, a toppled bookshelf, its contents spilled like entrails. Room 23, a circle of tiny chairs arranged around a faded rug. All empty. All watching. The deeper you go, the colder it becomes, not the bitter cold of winter, but the cold of absence. The cold of something that hasn't been touched by life in decades, yet somehow remains alert. You whisper the cat's name, the one your daughter insisted on, a name that stuck even though the animal wasn't technically yours. Your voice is small, swallowed instantly by the corridor. Nothing answers. You continue until you reach the last door on the right. Room 27. Your flashlight catches on a strip of masking tape along the frame, yellowed but intact, written in faded marker. Mr. Leary, 4th grade. Your stomach twists. Your husband once told you about a Mr. Leary, only once. The conversation floated through years of late-night talking, long before the accident. He mentioned him in an offhand comment, said he had a teacher who kept a jar of lost things on his desk, said he liked the idea. And you realize what that means. He did attend this school. Or a school with a Mr. Leary. Or you push the door open before your brain can reject what it's suggesting. The room is almost untouched. Desks perfectly aligned, the chalkboard still filled with lessons, a small American flag pinned to the bulletin board. Sunlight catches a strip of laminated paper above the chalkboard. Welcome back, students. Back. There's that word again. You step inside. The boards creak under your boots. The noise feels sacrilegious in the preserved silence. The cat's absence presses harder against your awareness, its missing weight at your ankles, the quiet hum of its breath. You whisper its name again. Still nothing. The room smells faintly of old crayons, dried glue, and time, all trapped and unmoving. You angle the flashlight down, scanning the floor. Footprints. Small, dusty prints, not cat prints, child-sized sneakers. They lead between the desks, looping once, twice, as if the child wandered aimlessly. Then they head toward the teacher's desk at the front of the room. You follow. The desk drawers are shut. Every pencil is neatly in place. A globe sits in the corner, tilted so Asia faces you. But on the desk surface lies something that stops you cold. A cassette tape. Not the clear plastic of the first. Not the red plastic of the second. This one is blue. Your breath compresses, not catches, compresses, folding inward, dense and reluctant, as if your lungs aren't convinced they should keep working. The label reads, "Don't run this time." Your fingers hover above it. The phrase digs at something in your memory, something smeared like a damp fingerprint on glass. A night years ago, a fight after the funeral, when you told your husband you couldn't talk about that place again. Except there was no place. Just grief. Just exhaustion. Just a misunderstanding you chose never to revisit. But your body remembers something your mind doesn't. Your hand closes around the tape. It's warm. Not warm like electronics, warm like someone held it just minutes ago. You turn abruptly, flashlight whipping across the room. Nothing. Yet the warmth in the cassette lingers. The cat's absence thickens into dread. You slip the tape into your jacket. Your fingers brush the other two, clear, red, and a tremor runs down your arm. Each tape carries a different temperature, a different weight. A different truth. Something moves in the hallway. A soft scrape. A dragging. Wood brushing tile. You pivot, heart climbing somewhere higher in your throat. A shadow slips past the doorway, small, quick, child-shaped. Wait. The word tears out of you before you can stop it. The shadow pauses. Just pauses. You step into the hall. The flashlight beam catches the back of the boy's head. Light brown hairs. Messy. Unkempt. He stands facing a classroom door further down, hand on the frame. Your voice is barely audible when you try again. Who are you? He turns his head just enough that you see the curve of a cheek, the faint suggestion of an ear. But not his face. Never his face. He whispers something. You can't hear the words, but you feel them, the way some voices reverberate through bone instead of air. Your vision blurs for a moment. A faint hum swells in your ears, like someone blowing across the mouth of a glass bottle. The boy lifts his hand. He points. Not at you. At the stairwell leading back down. You shake your head violently. No, I'm not going down there again. The boy tilts his head. The movement is eerily familiar, exactly like the cat when it's deciding whether to trust you. Then he points again. Harder, more insistently. A pulse ripples down the hallway, like a pressure wave you feel in your teeth. A door behind you slams shut. Another. The hallway contracts around you, narrowing, funneling, guiding. You stumble backward until you're forced toward the staircase. No, you whisper, please no. But the building seems to disagree. The boy steps toward the stairwell. One slow step. Then another. And with each step, the temperature drops. You can see his breath now, thin fog drifting into the air, even though yours remains invisible. At the top step, he stops. He looks over his shoulder, not turning fully, just enough that you see the edge of his jaw, the shadowed outline of his cheek. Then he descends, soundlessly, toward the basement, toward the cracked tile, the hidden cavity, the place where the tapes began, where your husband said not to go alone. You stand frozen, pulse hammering a chaotic rhythm in your ears. A small sound cuts through the pressure, not humming, not whispering. A soft, plaintive meow. The cat. Downstairs. Your body chooses before your mind does. You take the first step. Then the next. Hand braced on the railing. Flashlight trembling. Heart kicking against your ribs like something trying to break out. You descend into the dark. Halfway down, the air thickens again, like walking into a memory you'd buried, one too heavy to carry but too sharp to forget. At the bottom, you stop. The cracked tile lies where you left it. The hole yawns open. Dust hangs suspended around the beam of your light. But the boy is gone. The cat, however, stands beside the cavity, tail low, eyes fixed on something you can't see. You kneel carefully. What is it? You whisper. The cat shifts aside, paw pressing lightly against the edge of the hole. Something glints beneath the concrete lip. Not another tape. Something metallic. You reach inside, your fingers brush smooth metal, cold, uncomfortably cold. You pull it out. A key. Old brass. Stamped with a number carved deeply into its surface. 27B. Your eyes widen slowly. Room 27. You were just there. And there was no door labeled 27B. The cold in your hand intensifies. Your heartbeat stumbles once. Then, behind you, a voice. Finally, not a child's voice. Not your husband's. But a voice you know. Your own. You don't want to turn around. Hearing your own voice in a place you've never been is like feeling a hand slide into yours in the dark, fingers fitting too perfectly to be a stranger's. Finally, it said, your word, your tone, older, tired, certain. The key presses into your palm, sharp edges biting into skin as if reminding you that it's real, solid, not a hallucination you can dismiss later as grief brain. The cat looks past your shoulder, pupils blown wide, whiskers pushed forward in wary focus. It isn't running, it isn't arching away, it's watching. Waiting for you to react. You force yourself to turn. Slowly, the basement remains as it was. Crumbling shelves, paint peeling in long, curling strips, the concrete support pillar threaded with old pipes, the open doorway leading to the storage room. Nobody stands there. No woman with your hair. No shadow copy of you. Nothing. Just air, heavy, stale, and vibrating slightly, like the last note of a piano chord still humming in the strings. Your own voice lingers in your ears, replaying despite the room's stubborn emptiness. Who said that? Your words scrape their way out, husky with something you don't want to name. The building answers with quiet. The cat pads a small circle, then bumps its head against your knee, urging you to stand. You do, knees unsteady, key clenched tight. The number gleams up at you again. 27B. You picture the upstairs hallway, the neat row of room numbers, the sign for 27, no letter beside it, no hidden door tucked nearby, just the classroom, pristine and wrong in its preservation. You came back, the chalk whispered. But you never left. Right. The idea presses against your thoughts like an insistent thumb. It would be ridiculous, impossible, to think you'd been here as a child and then simply misfiled the entire place. People misplace keys, not buildings. Still, you slide the key into your pocket with the tapes. 3 tapes, 1 key. A boy who won't show his face. A voice that shouldn't exist in this place, or this time. The cat meows once, sharp, impatient, as if to say, move. You swallow, mouth dry, tongue tasting of iron and old dust. Okay, you murmur, okay, we keep going. You're not sure who you're reassuring. You climb the basement stairs again, each step creaking under your weight. The cat precedes you this time, tail lowered but steady, pausing every few steps to glance back and make sure you're following. At the top, the door is open wider than before. The crack you left has widened into a full swing, as if something brushed past it with more force than you used. You slip through. The hallway feels different. Not just colder, tighter. The air hums with a low, almost inaudible vibration, like the building has swallowed a secret and is trying not to choke on it. The sunlight has shifted yet again. The gold has deepened toward amber, shadows thicker and longer along the walls. How long have you been here? You don't check your phone. You don't want to watch the ordinary world scroll calmly past on your lock screen while this place gnaws at the edges of your reality. The cat trots ahead, heading unerringly toward the staircase, not up this time. Down the opposite corridor. You hesitate. That's not the way to room 27, you murmur. The cat doesn't care. It flicks its tail and disappears around a corner. You follow, shoes whispering across scuffed linoleum. The lockers you pass are plastered with stickers from another era, cartoon characters, band logos, slogans that meant everything and nothing to children who have grown old somewhere else. One locker stands slightly open. You don't want to look, you still do. Inside hangs a small denim jacket, sleeves too short for anyone over 10. Its pockets bulge with folded paper. A name is scribbled inside the collar in black marker, almost rubbed away. You tug it close to your face. The letters are faded, incomplete. Daniel. You step back as if the jacket lunged at you. Daniel, your husband's middle name. He hated it, always joked about how it made him sound like a farmhand or a preacher. He told you once that nobody used it, that he'd never really had a reason to think about it until you asked why he always scribbled just his first initial and last name on forms. A coincidence, you tell yourself. Then, more quietly, what is it? Stop, you whisper, voice unsteady. You're connecting dots because you're tired. The building doesn't argue. You let the jacket fall back against the locker's metal interior, then close the door gently, as though disturbing it too much will rattle loose something you're not prepared to see. The cat waits at the end of the hallway, tail tip twitching. You hurry to catch up. At the far end, the corridor dead ends. Or it should. A fire door sits flush with the wall, painted the same beige as everything else, nearly invisible at a distance. No window, no sign. No room number. Your cat stares at it, then at you. You want me to open that? Your voice barely rises above a whisper. The cat answers by standing on its hind legs, and scratching at the bottom of the door with both front paws. Tiny claws rasp metal. You flinch at the sound. Your hand trembles as you reach for the handle. It's stiff but not locked. You could push it and see what's on the other side, but the key in your pocket feels heavier with every passing second, dragging at the fabric. 27B. You slide your hand into your jacket and curl your fingers around the key. Its chill has grown, a deep, bone-seeping cold that makes your knuckles ache. When you touch metal to metal, the handle warms suddenly beneath your skin. The cat's fur puffs, ears flattening, but it doesn't back away. You push. The door gives. The smell hits you first. Not the dry, musty scent of long-abandoned rooms, something else. The faint tang of disinfectant, old coffee, warm paper, the aroma of an office you might have walked into any day of your working life. Lights buzz faintly overhead, weak, flickering, but on. You step through. The room beyond is narrower than a classroom, longer than an office. Rows of metal filing cabinets line both walls, doors slightly ajar, manila folders packed tight. A few toppled stacks of cardboard boxes lean in the corners, their labels handwritten. Attendance, incident reports, audio LOGS. Audio. Your skin prickles. The cat slips past you, weaving between boxes, tail low, sniffing. It sneezes once as dust tickles its nose, then jumps atop a nearby cabinet. The door behind you swings softly shut. Not on its own. You feel a small tug of air, the kind buildings exhale when pressures shift. Still, the sound makes you spin around, heart pounding uneven beats against your ribs. You try the handle. It turns. Unlocked. You're not trapped. You're just enclosed. The fluorescent lights flicker again, casting the room in a stuttering rhythm of brightness and shadow. You scan the labels. Year 1990, 394. Year 1990, 495. Disciplinary. Missing student. Your gaze locks onto the last one. The folder sits slightly out of alignment, as if someone pulled it halfway free and then shoved it back in hastily. Your fingers hesitate over the tab. You pull it out. Inside are photocopied letters, memos, scribbled notes, a grainy photocopy of a school photo, faces arranged in neat rows, their expressions serious and unsure under the camera's stare. One face snags your attention. Front row. Second from the left. A boy with light brown hair, sticking up slightly at the crown, eyes too serious for his age, the faintest curve of a smile that never fully arrives. You've seen that silhouette on the stairs, in the hallway. Beneath the photo, typed neatly, Daniel Leary, age 9, missing. The world tilts. The folder edges cut your fingers as your grip tightens. You barely feel it. Leary. The teacher's name above the door upstairs. The jar of lost things. The tape your husband left. The boy's surname matches the teacher, S. But your mind goes to another connection first. Daniel. You hear your husband's voice again, laughing as he cursed his middle name, saying it never belonged to him, didn't feel like his. Maybe it belonged to someone else first. Your knees try to give out. You lean heavily against a cabinet, metal groaning under the shift in weight. The cat brushes its flank against your calf, circling, anchoring you back to the room. You flip to the next page. An incident report. The typed words swim briefly as your vision blurs. You blink until they settle. Last seen 3:14 p.m. near the basement stairwell. Reported missing after failing to board bus. Search conducted of building and immediate vicinity. No signs of forced exit. No witnesses recalled seeing Daniel outside the building. Investigation remains open. A date. November 3, 1994. The same date the child's voice spoke into that first tape. If you're listening, then I guess I did it. I left this. Your fingers twitch. He didn't just vanish, he documented it. You shuffle deeper into the folder. Near the back, you find something different, a piece of lined notebook paper, edges frayed, hole punch torn. Written in pencil, crooked and uneven. If someone remembers me, can I come back? Your throat goes dry. Behind the question, lightly sketched but unmistakable, is a small drawing of a key, with a B engraved on it. The metal in your pocket suddenly feels like it weighs 1,000 pounds. The fluorescent lights buzz louder, then dim. You look up. For a fraction of a second, every cabinet nameplate blurs, rearranging into nonsense symbols. Your eyes water. When you blink, they read clearly again. The cat is no longer on the cabinet. You whirl, heart flinging itself against your ribs. It sits at the far end of the room now, paws neatly together, staring at something on the floor. You move closer. A single cassette lies there, no case, no label, just bare plastic. You don't remember seeing it when you walked in. You kneel. Dust hasn't collected on it yet. It's clean, recently placed. Where do you keep finding these? You whisper to the cat. The animal merely blinks slowly, as if to say, it isn't me, it's the place. You pick up the tape. This one feels wrong from the first touch. The plastic is colder than the key, colder than the concrete, a temperature that doesn't belong in this living world. When you lift it, a faint film of static brushes your fingertips, raising the tiny hairs on your arms. No label. No instructions. No time period. Just silence. Your breath grows shallow. You look around and see, in the corner of the room, another tape player, smaller than the basement one, more modern but still outdated. A portable recorder, its strap half disintegrated. It waits. You cross the room, each step a deliberate act. Set the tape in. Close the lid. Stand perfectly still as your finger hovers over play. You could stop. You could walk out of this strange archive, leave the tapes here, step into the fading afternoon, drive home, knock on your daughter's door, say you're sorry, try again to bridge the widening silence between you. You glance down at the key in your pocket. 27B. You didn't come here for closure anymore. You came because the past has reached out its hand, and against all common sense, you took it. You press play. At first, nothing. Then, your own voice. You know it instantly, not from some recording you've done, not from voicemails or videos, but from the way it carries your private, unguarded inflections, the way you sound alone. Hi, your recorded self says. The single syllable is soft, cautious. If you're hearing this, then we didn't fix it. Your legs nearly fold. You sink onto a nearby crate before your knees decide for you. The cat leaps up beside you, pressing firmly against your thigh, eyes pinned to the recorder as if it too understands the wrongness of what you're hearing. On the tape, you sigh. I thought this time would be different. I really did. A pause, then a brittle laugh that isn't even pretending to be amused. That's what you said last time too, didn't you? I can't keep track. Your stomach hollows out. Last time. Your recorded voice continues, lower. You probably don't remember yet. If you're listening, you've only just started seeing the seams. The boy, the messages, the tapes, him, a pause heavy enough to feel. You always get stuck on him. Him, your husband. Pain twists sharp inside your chest, but you can't look away, can't move. Your own voice has you pinned cleaner than any physical force could. I'm not here to tell you what to do, the recording goes on. We both know you wouldn't listen anyway. You're too much like her. Sorry. The question barely forms before the voice answers it. Like our daughter, you say on the tape, a soft rustle, fabric moving, someone shifting in their seat, stubborn, brave, terrified of being left. Your grip on the crate edge tightens until your fingers ache. How do you know what she's like? You whisper under your breath. You're me, you are me, this doesn't make sense. The recorded you continues, as if hearing the protest. You're going to want answers, you always do. How can I remember a place I've never been? How can a kid from 1994 know my name? How could he have your husband's middle name? How is any of this happening? Each question lands with surgical precision. The truth is, your recorded self hesitates. When the voice returns, it sounds even more tired. We never figured out the mechanics. We just kept living through the consequences. A soft thump, maybe your fist hitting a table. We came here when we were 9. We met a boy named Daniel Leary, who hated his first name and insisted everyone call him by his middle one instead. We watched him go down those stairs. We promised not to follow. Your skin erupts in goose flesh. We broke that promise. You see a flash behind your eyes again, dim hallway, small sneakers, a hand reaching back saying, "Don't look back." Your nails dig into the crate. Whatever is down there learned us, your recorded self says quietly. It learned how we remember, how we forget, how grief carves holes in the mind and leaves space for something else to slip in. The lights overhead flicker. The cat's fur stands up along its spine. You met him again as an adult, your other voice says. He'd taken another name by then, your husband's name. He remembered more than we did. That should have been a clue. We missed it, or maybe we just didn't want to see it. Your heart feels like a clenched fist. Every time you come back here trying to fix it, the tape continues. Every time you think if you save him, save someone, the loop will break. But you never make it to 27B, you always stop. You always run, and then you forget again. Silence thick and loaded. Then softly, "Please don't run this time." The blue tape's label, the words upstairs, "Don't run this time." You swallow hard, the motion hurts, like your throat has turned to sandpaper. "I'm leaving you the key earlier," the recorded you says. "I'm hoping that makes a difference. I'm hoping having all the tapes will make the pattern clearer before it's too late, but whatever you do, don't go alone." You glance automatically at the cat, small, steady, pressed against you. "Take someone living," your voice insists. "Someone who isn't part of this already. Someone who can pull you out if it tries to keep you." Your gaze slips to the door. You think of your daughter. Her closed bedroom. Her silence at dinner. The way she looks past you like you're the ghost in the house. You could leave this place, drive home, bring her here. A cold wave washes through you, nauseating in its force. You hear your recorded self again, sharper now. "And don't bring her, not ever. You've thought about it before. You always do. You think if she sees what I see, maybe she'll believe me. Maybe she'll forgive me. She won't, and you'll drag her into this instead." You flinch as if slapped. The tape whirs softly. "You do not fix this by sacrificing someone else," your voice says. "You fix it by finishing what we never had the courage to finish." A pause. Then the quiet, almost broken admission. "If we even can fix it." Your eyes sting. The cat presses its forehead against your wrist, and your hand moves instinctively, fingers resting between its ears. Its fur is warm, real. A tiny animal heartbeat hums against your skin. The tape enters a final stretch of static-laced quiet, then your voice returns one last time. "If you're hearing me, it means you didn't die last time. Take the win, don't waste it." A breath. Find 27B, find him, find out what it wants, and if you can't save anyone else. The final words are barely audible. "At least save us." Click. The tape stops. The machine hums for a heartbeat longer, then falls silent. The fluorescent lights overhead buzz on, steadier now, as if the building were taking a long, measured inhale. You sit very still. Your hand remains resting on the cat's head. Its steady warmth staves off the cold curling at the edges of your awareness. You know 3 things now with a clarity that hurts. You've been here before. You've failed before. And something in this school knows you better than you know yourself. You stand slowly. The key in your pocket presses against your hip like a brand. 27B. You look at the doors. Somewhere behind these walls, on some unmarked plane of this building's impossible geometry, a room waits, a room you never reach. You grip the recorder's handle. "Okay," you say, voice rough but steady. "We finish it this time." The cat hops down, landing silently, and pads toward the door. You follow, the tapes heavy against your chest, the key colder than ever against your skin. Behind you, in the quiet of the archive, a single filing cabinet drawer eases open a fraction of an inch entirely on its own. You don't see it, but whatever watches you from the seams of this place does. You leave the archive room with the door closing softly behind you, too softly for its rusted hinges. The hallway outside is darker than before. Not night dark, not power outage dark. A different kind of dimness, like the light itself has thinned, stretched, become transparent in places where it should be solid. The cat stays pressed to your ankles as you move, its warm body brushing you now and then, reminding you you're tethered to something living. You keep one hand around the key. The other brushes the pocket where the tapes lie, hard shapes bumping against one another as you walk. You whisper to steady yourself. Find 27B, find him, finish it. Your voice trembles on the last words, not with fear you know, but with the sharp, unfamiliar terror of remembering something you shouldn't be able to remember. The hallway extends ahead of you, straight, endless looking, with doors yawning open on either side. You take a step. Something shifts behind you. You don't turn. You can't. If you turned, you know you'll see the wrong version of this hallway, the earlier one, or the much older one, or the one from your half-remembered childhood, the one with the humming radiators and the smell of wet boots drying on paper towels. So you keep going. You pass. Room 24. Room 25. Room 26. You slow before room 27. The door is open wider than before. Inside, the desks are still aligned, but the light has changed, warmer, more golden, as if someone lit a lamp in the corner you can't see. The cat stops outside the door and looks up at you. Not here, its eyes say, not this room. You nod. You step past room 27. And then, on the wall beside it, half hidden behind a peeling motivational poster, you see something you hadn't seen before. A seam. A thin vertical line running down the wall, too straight, too crisp, too intentional. You run your fingers along it. It's a door. A perfectly blended, perfectly disguised door. There's no knob. No hinges. No sign. Just a keyhole. 27B. Your pulse spikes hard enough to make your hand shake as you reach into your pocket. The key bites your palm as you pull it out. You kneel so you can see clearly. The key slides into the lock. It fits. The metal hums faintly against your fingertips, like a tuning fork struck against bone. You hesitate, breath stalling. Okay, you whisper. Okay, let's see. You turn the key. A click sounds clean, mechanical, almost relieved. The seam widens. Slowly. Beautifully. Terrifyingly. Light pours through, warm, flickering light, the flicker of candles or something else alive. You push. The hidden door swings inward. You stare. Everything inside you stops. The room is impossible. The space beyond the door is not a classroom. Not an office. Not a storage closet. It's a narrow corridor, angled downward. Stair-like, ribbed with wooden slats that creak under the faint pressure of air. The walls are lined with children's drawings. Dozens, hundreds, pages taped side by side, layered on top of each other, crayon scrawls, pencil sketches, smudged charcoal. Each drawing depicts the same three things. A child, a staircase, a woman's. Your breath thins as you step closer. The child looks like Daniel Leary, messy hair, two serious eyes. Sometimes he's smiling, sometimes crying, sometimes standing at the top of a staircase with his hand extended toward someone. The staircase looks like the one inside the school, the one that leads to the basement, the one you swore you wouldn't descend alone again. The woman. You can't breathe. Every drawing of the woman looks like you. You step back and your shoulder hits the wall. No, you whisper. I didn't, but I wasn't here. I never. The cat presses against your shin, a firm nudge pulling you back to reality. You inhale. The air tastes like chalk dust and old paper, and something faintly sweet, like forgotten memories trying to surface. You take a step down the corridor. The light follows you, warm and flickering, coming from somewhere deeper inside the impossible angle of the room. The keyhole behind you clicks shut. You don't look back. The corridor descends. As you go deeper, the drawings change. They grow more frantic, messier, the lines jagged, the colors darker, faces distorted. Shapes repeating, spirals, keys, staircases that loop back onto themselves. And words begin to appear among the sketches. Help him. Don't follow. You promised. You forgot. If you remember me, I can come back. Your hand curls into a fist. I didn't forget, you whisper. I didn't. Your voice cracks halfway through, and the truth burns bitter in your mouth. You did forget. You forgot the boy. The basement. The first time. The second time. The loops. The warnings. You forgot all of it. Because remembering hurt too much. The corridor deepens, opening into a small landing. At the center sits the cat. It's staring directly at the far wall. You follow its gaze. Another drawing. Bigger than the rest, nearly floor to ceiling. Not a child's work. Older. More skilled. More deliberate. In it, Daniel stands at the bottom of the basement stairs. Behind him, the shadow of a woman looms, your silhouette. And wrapped around both figures is something dark and shapeless, cradling their outlines like an embrace or a trap. Your knees weaken. You stumble closer, palms sliding across the cold surface of the drawing. There's writing beneath it, messy, uneven, but unmistakable. You left us here. A sob claws its way up your throat, but you swallow it brutally, unable to let it surface. I didn't mean to, you whisper. I don't even remember. Your fingers brush the drawn Daniel's hand. The wall beneath the drawing ripples. Paper warps. Lines distort. The drawing seems to breathe. You snatch your hand back. The cat hisses, not at you, but at the wall. And then you hear it. A voice, soft and small, coming from beyond the wall. Are you coming? Your lungs shriek for air. The child's voice. Daniel, alive, or something like alive. Your heart slams against your ribs like it's trying to escape. You take one step toward the wall, then another. The wall thins, becomes translucent, becomes membrane-like, pulsing faintly with each word spoken through it. The cat backs up, fur puffed, tail lashing against your leg. Are you coming? The voice repeats. You place your palm on the drawing again, not lightly this time. Not hesitantly. You press. The wall gives. Not like breaking drywall. Not like pushing through loose paper. More like slipping through warm wax. The surface yields, stretching around your hand. Air rushes through the opening, warm and humid, smelling faintly of earth and childhood breath. The cat yowls softly, uncertain, frightened. You step forward. The wall swallows your hand up to the wrist. Then your forearm. Then your shoulder. The membrane pulls at you, not harshly, but insistently. Inviting. Behind you, somewhere in the narrowing corridor, you hear footsteps. Not Daniel S. Not a child S. Not yours. Slow. Measured. Heavy. Coming closer. The cat presses itself against the back of your calf, trembling lightly. You lean forward, forcing your body into the thinning wall. Your recorded voice whispers in your mind. Don't go alone. You aren't alone. The cat's fur brushes your leg. You take a breath that tastes like dew-wet leaves and old secrets. You step fully through the wall. Stepping through the wall feels like passing into someone else's skin. The membrane clings to you, warm, pliant, resisting just enough to make you wonder if it will let you go. It slides over your shoulders, your hips, your legs, like thick water that almost remembers being solid. Then you're through. The cat pops through behind you with a startled grunt, claws digging into your calf as it scrambles for purchase. The wall seals up instantly, the drawing smoothing back into place on the other side. You're in. The air here is different. Not stale, not old, fresh. Damp almost, it tastes of soil and chalk and something faintly metallic, like blood on your tongue after biting it. You lift the flashlight. Its beam stretches farther than it should, swallowed slowly by a darkness that feels less like absence of light and more like presence of something too dense to see through. You're standing on concrete. Not the school's linoleum, not wood, raw concrete, pitted and stained, stretching out in a corridor that slopes gently downward. The walls are bare. No drawings, no posters, just exposed gray veins of darker mineral running through, like marble designed to make people uneasy. The cat moves ahead, low and cautious. You call softly, Daniel. Your voice travels strangely. It doesn't echo so much as fold back on itself, like the hallway is listening carefully and handing each word back to you, slightly changed. From somewhere ahead, the boy's voice replies. You came. You can't see him yet. The sound seems to come from everywhere at once, high, small, threaded with a kind of worn-out hope, the sort children should never have to feel. You take a step forward. The flashlight beam slides ahead, revealing a bend in the corridor. As you walk, you become aware of something else, a faint rhythmic vibration under your feet. Like breathing. Not yours. Not the cat's. The corridor curves. You follow it. And then it opens into a room. The room that isn't a room. Room is the closest word you have, but it's wrong. The space you enter swells and contracts subtly, as if the dimensions are undecided. The ceiling is low on one side, higher on the other. The corners are rounded off, no clean 90-degree angles anywhere. It feels like being inside the hollow of a throat. Faint light glows from a mess of candles stuck into various surfaces, on the floor, in cracks in the walls, in an overturned metal trash can turned into an altar. Their flames burn too steadily, untouched by any draft. In the center sits a desk. A school desk. Tiny fourth-grade size, on it a tape player. Next to the desk stands the boy. Daniel. He's smaller than you expected, maybe 8 or 9, thin in the way of children who live inside their own minds more than their bodies. His hair is the same messy light brown as in the photo, sticking up in that stubborn cowlick. He doesn't look at you. He looks at the cat. The animal stops, tail straight, ears forward. The boy smiles. It's not a big smile, just a soft, almost shy lift of one corner of his mouth. You brought it, he says. You answer automatically, the cat. He finally looks at you. His eyes are wrong. Not monstrous, not glowing, just older. Too aware. Eyes that have watched the same thing happen over and over. Eyes that know exactly when you'll flinch, when you'll deny, when you'll start bargaining. I don't remember you, you say, and the admission feels like a betrayal. He nods like he expected that answer. You never do, not at first. His voice is calm, matter of fact. It cuts through the room more cleanly than your own words do. You swallow. The cat walks to him, sniffing his hand. Daniel reaches down and scratches gently between its ears in the exact same place you do, fingers knowing the spot without searching. How many times, you ask, before you can stop yourself? He doesn't look up. Countless, he says. You stopped counting. I never did. You feel the floor tilt a fraction of an inch. That's not possible, you whisper. People don't repeat like this. Time doesn't. Doesn't what? He asks. Loop, forget, skip. He finally glances your way again. You think this is the first impossible thing that's happened to you. You want to say no. You want to list the tapes, your husband's voice, the chalk message on the wall. Instead, all you manage is, why don't I remember you? He studies your face as if he's searching for the version of you he recognizes. Because it doesn't like you remembering, he says, and you make it easy. Your skin crawls, The room closes in a little more. He doesn't answer immediately. He steps aside from the desk, revealing something lying on the floor behind him. You move closer, slowly, flashlight beam steady. At first, you think it's a pile of blankets, then your stomach drops. A backpack. A jacket. Small sneakers. Arranged neatly, as if someone took them off and folded them with care. They're old-fashioned in a way you can't quite place, colors, styles from the early 90s, Dust hasn't fully settled on them, as if they've been touched recently. You whisper, yours. He shrugs one shoulder. Those are from the first time. The cat presses nearer to your ankle, fur brushing your leg like a plea for stability. You turn back to him. Why am I here, you ask? What did I do? What did we do? Daniel walks to the wall opposite the corridor entrance. It's covered in markings, tally lines scratched into concrete, hundreds of them, some carved deep over and over in the same groove. He places his palm against the wall. You promised you'd come back, he says quietly. You promised you wouldn't leave me down there. You see a flicker, a flash behind your eyes again. A younger version of your hand, small and unsteady, reaching for his as he stands on a stair below you. His fingers slipping from yours. His shoes vanishing into the dark. Your voice yelling wait even as your feet refuse to move. And another voice, deeper, quieter, from just behind your ear. You don't have to look, you don't have to see, you can forget, it's easier. You blink hard and the vision shakes loose. You say, barely audible, I broke the promise. Daniel doesn't say yes, he doesn't need to. The tallies on the wall answer for him. Your chest feels like it's collapsing inward, not from fear this time, from guilt that's finally found its original shape after years of being misfiled as random anxiety and unexplained sadness. I tried later, you say, didn't I? The tapes, my voice, I came back. You always come back, he says, turning to face you, and then you always leave before you get to the center. It likes that, it eats that. Eats what? Intent, he says, regret, all the things you almost do but don't. The word eat lands heavier than it should. You remember the strange breathing sensation under the floor, the way the hallways seemed to inhale when you made certain choices. You whisper, what is it? The candles flicker all at once. The room's breathing slows. Daniel's gaze drifts past you, toward the corridor you came from. You brought it with you, he says, voice soft. You always do. You spin. The opening you stepped through is no longer just concrete and shadow. It's darker now. Something leans just beyond the edge of your flashlight's reach. Not a shape, not a solid thing, a thickening. Like a fold in reality, hanging there, heavier than it should be. You hear it. Not a growl, not a voice. More like layers of whispers all speaking at once, too faint to separate, blending into an almost sound that gets under your skin. The cat flattens itself against the floor, ears pinned, body close to your boot. You lift the flashlight, hand unsteady. Whatever is at the mouth of the corridor recoils from the light, not dramatically, not theatrically, just a slight pullback, like someone narrowing their eyes against brightness. The wall behind that darkness isn't visible. There is no wall anymore. Just depth. Too much of it. Daniel says quietly, it doesn't like direct light, or choices that don't feed it. You back up until you feel the edge of the desk bump against your hip. So what does it want, you ask, never taking your eyes off the pulsing dark. He considers you. You, he says simply, me, him, anyone who walks the stairs and hesitates, anyone who wants to change something but can't follow through. That's not hunger, you say, your voice is trembling now. That's familiar, he suggests. It is. That's the worst part. It feels like the weight that pinned you to the mattress every morning after the funeral, whispering stay. Don't move. You'll fail today anyway. It feels like the force that kept you from knocking on your daughter's door. It feels like giving up. You realize with a jolt that your fingers have loosened around the flashlight. You tighten your grip. Daniel's eyes narrow slightly. This is where you turn around, he says, usually. You tear your gaze away from the darkness and look at him. He's not accusing you. He looks tired, the same bone-level tired you heard in your own recorded voice, like he's watched you fail so many times that even hope has worn thin. You remember the blue tape. You always run. Not this time. You swallow hard. What happens if I do, you ask. He glances down at the cat. It will try to bargain, he says. It likes negotiation. It likes the moments where you think you've outsmarted it and then haven't. You almost laugh, the sound comes out thin. So it's what? A demon. He shrugs. A pattern, he says, a hole, a thing that lives in the spaces between promises and actions. Call it whatever makes you move. Your skin crawls again. A pattern can't talk, you say. He tilts his head. Can't it? He asks. You've heard your own voice arguing with you for years. The dark spot in the corridor pulses. It doesn't move forward exactly. It deepens, becomes more layered like overlapping sheets of smoke. You hear something inside it now. Not your voice, not your husband's. Your daughter's. She's saying your name. Not Mom's. Your name. The way she's been saying it lately, like you're just another adult. The sound cuts straight through you. You take a half step forward before you realize you're doing it. Daniel's hand closes around your wrist. His fingers are cold but solid. Careful, he whispers, that's one of its favorites. My daughter, you start. He shakes his head. She's not here, he says. It's using what it knows. It wants you to bring her. You always think about it around now. You feel sick. Because he's right. You hadn't said it out loud this time, but the thought had been there, a flash of if she saw this, maybe she'd understand why I've been so far away. The more you think it, he says softly, the more it can use it. Don't give it that. The dark shifts again, like it's turning its attention fully on you now. You feel something brush the edge of your mind. Not invasive, curious. A pressure that tastes like old shame and unfinished sentences. In the center of that feeling, your husband laughs softly, the way he did when he wanted to soften bad news. You really think you can fix this, says his voice, blending with your own, your mother S, your therapist S, the teacher who once told you were just not a finisher. You never finish anything. You've never wanted to smash something so badly in your life. The cat hisses, low, vibrating. It steps in front of you. The smallest living thing in the room staring straight into the densest part of the dark. Daniel watches the cat, then you. You brought something new this time, he says. That's different. You barely manage. A stray cat is your idea of backup. He narrows his eyes, thinking. It's not about the animal, he says slowly. It's about what you did. You followed it without thinking. You went where someone else needed you instead of staying frozen where you were comfortable. Your stomach twists. Comfortable, you repeat, incredulous. You call this comfortable. Familiar, he corrects. That's different. The darkness ripples as if irritated. You feel another push at your thoughts, this time a heavier one. Memories spill up. The argument the night before the accident, the way you told your husband you were tired of him disappearing into old stories, the way he shut down. You never believed me, a voice murmurs inside the pressure. You never listened. Why are you listening now? You shut your eyes for half a second. When you open them, the dark has crept an inch closer. Daniel says louder now, you have to decide. Decide what, you ask, though you already know. Whether you're going to bargain again, he says, or walk through it. You stare at the thickening void. You remember what your recorded self said. If you can't save anyone else, at least save us. Us. The children you were. The woman you became. The versions of you scattered through this pattern, all stuck at the same almost choice. Your legs feel like they're filled with wet sand. You look down at the cat's. It looks back. Its pupils are wide, but there is no flinching in its gaze, no calculation, no guilt, just a living presence waiting to see what you'll do. You take one step toward the darkness. Then another. The air temperature drops sharply, your skin pebbles, your breath draws in as if it has to push through thick syrup. You can hear the thing more clearly now, not as separate voices, but as one sustained murmur, shaped like all the times you didn't send the message, didn't make the appointment, didn't say, I'm sorry, when you should have. Every unfinished action humming together in one place. Don't listen, Daniel says behind you. His voice sounds farther away already. It will offer you a softer version. It always does. The dark looms in front of you like a curtain. You stop a foot away. If you stretch a hand, you could touch it. You speak and your voice sounds too small in the face of it. What do you want from me? The darkness answers. It doesn't speak in words. It speaks in images. Your daughter's bedroom door never opening again. Your husband's shoes staying beside the front door forever, untouched. Your own reflection growing more distant each year until you don't recognize the woman in the mirror. A life where you never come here, never remember, never hurt like this. A life that feels numb but easy. You stagger under the force of it. The temptation is physical. Don't you dare, Daniel says somewhere behind you, voice cracking with something like panic for the first time. Don't you dare choose the easy way again. You want to scream that you're tired. You want to yell at him that he's had decades to adjust to this place, to make peace with it, to turn his pain into something sharp and usable. You haven't. You're raw. You're still bleeding from losses in the world above this impossible room. Your hand rises without your permission. The darkness ripples eagerly, lining in. The cat suddenly darts forward. It swats at your hand, claws grazing your skin, forcing your fingers downward. You gasp in pain and shock, stumbling back a step. The spell, that slow hypnotic pull, breaks just slightly. You look at the cat. Really look. Its fur stands on end, its back is arched, but its eyes are clear. Alive. It meows once, loud and harsh, a sound that doesn't say I'm scared so much as move already. You laugh. You can't help it. The sound comes out strangled, half sob, half bark of disbelief. Stop choosing absence. The thought arrives without your conscious effort, like someone else put it there. Maybe the other you. Maybe Daniel. Maybe some tiny, furious part of you that got tired of losing to a gap in the world. You close your fist around the key instead of reaching toward the dark. It bites into your palm, metal edges digging in hard enough to make your eyes water. You step forward again. Not to be swallowed. To pass through. You think of your daughter not as bait, not as someone you need to prove anything to, but as a reason to survive this, to remember this, to finally stop letting something else decide how much of your life you get to feel. The darkness swells, pressing closer, trying to loom, to intimidate. You take one more step. I'm not bargaining, you say, your voice shaking but clear. Not this time. You walk into it. The cat leaps after you. Behind you, you hear Daniel inhale sharply. Then the room disappears. Darkness folds around you. Not like night. Not like blindness. This dark feels textured, layered, as if you're walking through draped fabric soaked in cold breath. It clings to your clothes, your arms, your face, too soft to be solid, too heavy to be air. The cat presses against your ankle, a trembling weight, its body warmth the only thing in this place that obeys the laws of the world you know. You take another step. The ground feels wrong. Not concrete. Not wood. Something smoother, cooler. Tile. Childhood tile. The kind used in school hallways everywhere, smooth squares waxed until they gleamed. The realization stops you. Your hand reaches out, fingertips brushing something invisible that feels like the memory of a wall. And suddenly, light. Not bright. Not steady. A faint shimmer, like fireflies drifting behind fog. The darkness thins enough that you can make out the outline of a hallway. But not the one you came from. This one is smaller. Narrower. The ceiling lower. The lockers half your current height, painted in primary colors. A child-sized world. You feel your heart lurch, a sudden, nauseating twist, because your body recognizes this place even before your mind can catch up. You whisper, no, this can't be. The darkness breathes around you, answering with a low hum. You lift the flashlight reflexively, but the beam fizzles, weakens, becomes useless. Whatever this place is, it doesn't allow real light, only memory light. You walk forward. The cat keeps pace, close enough that you feel each tremor in its movements. Your footsteps echo lightly, the soft tap of shoes on tile, too quiet for an adult. Too quiet for your current size. You look down. You freeze. Your shoes aren't yours. Not the boots you wore in. These are children's shoes, small, scuffed, white with little blue stars on the sides. A pair you remember owning. Your breath stops working. You try to speak, but only a thin croak emerges. What is happening? The darkness presses close, but less aggressively now, almost comforting, like it's guiding you deeper. You move carefully, each step sending a small shock up your legs, as if the floor sits slightly wrong beneath your weight, like it's been reconstructed from memory, imperfectly. You turn a corner and see him. Daniel. Not the older version from the impossible room. Not the boy with tired eyes and too much knowledge. This Daniel is younger. 8, maybe 9s. Hair messy. Shirt rumpled. Shoelace untied. He sits on the floor with his back against a locker, knees pulled to his chest. He's crying, face hidden in his arms. Your chest tightens, sharp as a pulled muscle. You take one step toward him. The cat lets out a small warning chirp, not a hiss, not fear, just caution, a reminder that even memories can bite. You kneel slowly. Daniel. His head lifts. His eyes are red. His cheeks are streaked. His voice tiny and hoarse. You came back. The same words written on the hall wall. You swallow hard. I didn't know. I didn't remember. He shakes his head violently. No, not this you, the little you, the you from before. You go still. He wipes his nose on his sleeve, then points to the end of the hallway. You both went down there. A shudder rolls through you. You follow the direction of his finger. At the end of the hall, a stairwell yawns open, a smaller version of the basement stairs. The banister is decorated with construction paper leaves and names written in crayon. 2 sets of small footprints laid down. Neither belongs to Daniel. Your breath tightens in a way that feels like grief with sharp edges. You were with me, you ask. He nods once. You said it was a secret place, he sniffles. You said you defound it yesterday but didn't want to go alone. Your stomach flips. You. Here. Before. You touch your forehead, trying to find the memory, but it squirms away like something alive, slipping between fingers you can't close around it. You came with me, you whisper. He nods again. And then. He looks down. You let go. The words hit harder than you're ready for. You whisper, what do you mean? He doesn't answer. He stands and walks toward the stairwell, small shoulders hunched, as if expecting you to follow. The cat trots after him automatically. But your legs don't move. Your mind detonates behind your eyes, scattering fragments. A hand slipping from yours. A voice whispering, don't look. A staircase that seemed to move under your feet. A doorway carved into a wall that shouldn't have existed. A warm breath against your ear saying, forget, it's easier. You clamp your eyes shut, but the memories keep vibrating through you, like the school itself is shoving them to the surface. Daniel stands at the top step, looking back. You said you'd come right behind me. Your throat aches. I must have. Run away, he finishes for you. You always run away. He says it gently, not cruelly, just truthfully. You finally join him, stepping beside him at the top of the stairwell. The darkness behind you grows thicker, almost pleased. Because you're here again. At the beginning. At the original fracture point. You look down the steps. They spiral. Too far. Too wrong. The geometry slips in places, bending just slightly beyond what reality allows, like a staircase painted by someone who has never seen a real one. Daniel grips the railing. He doesn't go down. You made it farther this time, he whispers. I think that means you might remember soon. You force yourself to ask. Remember what? He looks up at you. There's no accusation in his eyes. Only grief. And something like relief. Why you brought me here in the first place. Your chest caves inward. He continues. You didn't find this place yesterday. You didn't find it with me. He points at the steps. You and it found each other before I ever came along. Your nails dig into your palm. You're saying the thing. The pattern, he corrects softly. Yes, that, you're saying it wanted me. It still does, he says, because you're good at forgetting things you can't face, and that makes you easy to keep. Your breath shudders, ragged, uneven. Daniel continues. But you weren't supposed to bring me, or anyone. It wasn't ready for that. You changed it. Everything in your body goes cold at once. You mean I put you in danger? You saved me, he says quietly. Then, after a beat, and doomed me. The cat presses against your leg again, grounding you with the soft thrum of its purring, now frantic, as if trying to soothe a wound it can smell. You collapse to your knees. I didn't know, you whisper. I didn't remember. I would've. He cuts you off gently. I know. A pause. Then, that's why I waited. You stare at him. He steps closer, small hand reaching toward your jacket pocket. You let him. He pulls out the clear cassette, the first one. He holds it carefully, like it's fragile. You left this for yourself, he says, on one of the early loops, before you forgot the most important part. Your breath stumbles again. What part? He looks at the tape. Listens to it with his fingertips, as if the plastic holds heat he understands. Then he says, You didn't come here to save me. You blink. He raises his eyes to you, wide, earnest, heartbroken. You brought me here because I was the only one you trusted to help you face it. Every thought collapses. You stare at him, unable to reconcile the child in front of you with the weight of his words. He steps even closer. You didn't let go of my hand. Your breath catches. He finishes softly. I let go of yours. The hallway tilts. Your heartbeat falters. Something inside you tears open like a seam splitting from too much pressure. Daniel, your voice cracks. Why? He looks down the impossible stairwell. I didn't want to go where you were going, he says. I wasn't brave enough, so I ran back up. You feel tears rising, hot, unsteady, but he shakes his head. You came after me, he continues. Every loop, every time, you were trying to save me from something I chose. You stare at him, breath trembling. He adds quietly, and I've been trying to save you from what you chose. Before you can speak, the darkness behind you utters a sound. A low, hungry exhale. Not words, not exactly, but the shape of meaning is unmistakable. Daniel grabs your wrist, tiny fingers wrapping desperately around your skin. It's coming, he whispers. It's always faster after the truth. What do we do, you ask? He meets your eyes with a mixture of fear and grim determination you've only ever seen in adults facing terrible choices. We finish what you started. He picks up the cat. Bring the key. Your hand closes around the cold metal again. The stairwell pulses, alive, waiting for you both. You descend. You descend the impossible stairwell with Daniel holding the cat tight against his chest, its trembling body pressed close to him. The metal key in your hand bites into your palm with every step, grounding you, hurting you, keeping you from slipping back into the numbness the entity prefers. The stairs don't behave. They tilt under your weight. Straighten, stretch, shrink. The geometry shifts like the staircase is exhaling around you. Daniel doesn't flinch. He moves with the quiet determination of someone who has walked this path more times than you can comprehend, but never with you at his side. Not fully, not like this. Stay close, he murmurs. It will try to make you forget where you're going. The air thickens as you descend, heavy with a damp, earthy smell like soil packed down over something old. The walls seem to pulse faintly. You hear whispers thin, slithering, threading through the concrete. Your voice. Your husband's voice. Your daughter's voice. Daniel's voice. All overlapping. All distorting. All murmuring your failures back to you. You should have stayed. You should have run. You should have forgotten. You don't deserve to fix this. Daniel glances at you sharply. Don't listen, he snaps softly. It's trying to separate us. You force your feet to move. The stairwell ends abruptly. Not into a room. Not into the basement. Into a cavern. Impossible. Gigantic. Like someone hollowed out the earth beneath the school and built nothing in its place. You step onto the floor. The surface is smooth and reflective, like polished stone wet with condensation. Your reflection stares back at you, distorted, stretched, warped. Daniel stands beside you, the cat squirming slightly in his arms, ears pricked. At the far end of the cavern, something moves. Not fast. Not threatening. Slow. Curious. A shape begins to unfurl. At first, it looks like smoke. Then like fabric. Then like a curtain billowing underwater. Finally, it condenses into something vaguely humanoid, but only vaguely, as if it tried to imitate a shape it saw once and never learned how to finish the rest of the details. It has no eyes. No face. Just a smooth surface that ripples with shifting impressions, expressions that don't belong to one person, but many. Your husband's silhouette flickers across it. Then your mother's. Then your own. Then dozens more. A collage of everyone you've disappointed, everyone you've left behind, everyone you couldn't save, including yourself. Your legs weaken. Daniel grabs your hand with surprising strength for a child. Don't look at the faces, he whispers. That's how it gets inside. Look at me. You do. His eyes are steady. Bright. Anchoring. Daniel, you murmur, what is this place? He nods toward the entity. This is where it lives, he says. This is where it waited for us, for all the selves we were, all the selves we left behind. Your fingers tremble around the key. What does it want? Not to hurt you, he says, not exactly. He swallows. To use you. The entity steps forward. Its body ripples like liquid. Its arms split into multiple arms. Then recombine. Then split again. It's mimicking indecision. It moves as though its entire existence is built on copying the shape of hesitation itself. You suddenly understand something horrible. It feeds on unfinished things, you whisper, on promises, on regrets, on what we don't do. Daniel nods. And on what we don't remember. That's why it keeps us looping. Forgetting helps it grow, and every time we start over, it becomes harder to reach this place. Your throat tightens. How many times have you stood here, you ask. He looks down. More than you. The entity tilts its head. The smooth face splits open slightly, not into a mouth exactly, but a crack that reveals a churning mass underneath, something bright and dark and shifting all at once. A voice pours out. Not a single voice. Thousands. All layered. Some whispering. Some weeping. Some laughing. Some screaming. And then one voice rises above the rest. Your daughter's voice. Mom, please come home. You jerk forward instinctively, heart splitting open. Daniel yanks your arm hard. No, that's not her, he hisses. It's just using her shape. It hasn't heard her voice, only yours. The entity shifts, the crack widening. Why do you fight? Your daughter's voice asks. We need you. Your knees buckle. The cat leaps up your arm, claws digging in, clinging like it's trying to hold you in this reality. Daniel squeezes your hand harder. You have to remember why you came here, he says urgently. Why you followed the cat, why you opened the basement tile, why you found the tapes. You try to speak, but your throat has tightened to the width of a straw. He lifts your hand, holding the key. You brought this, he says, because the first version of you realized something the rest of us didn't. You swallow hard. Realized what? The pattern isn't unbeatable, he says, it's just unfinished. The words strike something deep. Deep enough that your mind tries to push them away, like the idea is too heavy, too bright, too dangerous. Daniel steps closer to you. You always think this place is a trap, he says, but maybe it's a puzzle. The entity recoils slightly, as if offended. The cat hisses loud enough to echo. Daniel points toward the smooth floor beneath your feet. Look, he whispers. You do. The reflective surface ripples faintly, not from your movement, but from something beneath it. A shape. Large. Circular. Familiar. Daniel, your voice breaks. Is that? A lock, he says. It has always been a lock, not a tomb. Your temples begin to throb. You mean this thing hasn't been holding us? He shakes his head. It's been guarding what you're supposed to open. You stare at the key. The cold metal. The number 27B. The impossible door. The tapes from versions of yourself, long gone. Your own recorded voice whispering. If you can't save anyone else, at least save us. In the echo of those words, you feel something sharp. No, or maybe very old. Determination. Daniel nods as if sensing the shift in you. What do I do, you ask. He points at the entity. You walk past it. Your stomach plummets. That's it, you whisper. He squeezes your hand. That's everything. The entity shudders, all the faces flickering at once. Your husband's face emerges, full, perfect, glowing with love and regret. Come back, he begs. You don't have to do this alone. Your eyes burn. Daniel steps between you and the entity, small body squared like a shield. You can't trick her this time, he says. You grip the key so hard your palm aches. Move, Daniel whispers. I'm right behind you. You step forward. The entity roars, not sound, not wind, but raw pressure, regret, guilt, every fear you didn't face trying to crush you backward. You step again. Your hand rises. The cat leaps from Daniel's arms, landing on your shoulder, claws anchoring you, weight steady. You walk until the entity is inches away. Until its faceless surface shimmers with the reflection of your face. Your real face. Older. Tired. Alive. You whisper. I'm not yours. And you walk through it. You expect pain when you walk through the entity. You expect cold, or heat, or some terrible tearing sensation that strips memory from bone. But passing through, it feels like stepping into a memory you didn't know you still carried. A warm summer night. Your daughter falling asleep on your chest. Your husband whispering your nickname into your hair. A version of yourself, years younger, choosing to try again instead of collapsing under the weight of loss. Then, light, not blindings, soft, like the glow of a childhood flashlight under a blanket. You stumble forward. The cat clings to your shoulder, its claws adjusting carefully with each lurch of your balance. Daniel steps through a second later, breathing hard, sweat beating at his hairline. His small hand finds yours without needing to search for it. The cavern behind you fades, its darkness thinning like morning fog. You're standing on something smooth. Flat. Circular. The lock. A stone disc fills the floor, etched with a shallow indentation, the exact shape of the key in your hand. A sound hums beneath it, steady, pulsing like a slow heartbeat. You swallow. Daniel nods, encouragement radiating from the tension in his shoulders. This is what you've been trying to reach, he whispers. You made it. Your legs tremble. How does it work? He gestures toward the indentation. It only opens if both of us touch it, he says, because both of us closed it. A chill rolls up your spine, not from fear, from truth. You both did this. You both locked something away. You both suffered because of it. You nail. Daniel nails too. The cat circles twice, then sits between you as if claiming its place in the story. You lift the key. Daniel places his small hand over yours, guiding the metal into the shape carved in the stone. The key fits perfectly, not like an object matching a lock, but like a memory sliding back into the correct part of the mind. You whisper. What happens when we turn it? Daniel's grip tightens. We finish the choice. A breath catches in your throat, not the panicked kind, but the kind before crying, the kind before healing. Together, he adds quietly. Together. You inhale deeply, air thick with possibility and fear. You turn the key. Not with a click. Not with gears. With a sigh. A warm, low exhale rises from the stone, like something ancient and exhausted has finally been freed from its cramped hiding place. Light pours out around the edges of the disc, soft gold at first, then deep amber, then clear, bright white. Daniel squints. You shield your eyes. The cat yowls softly, but doesn't run. The disc lifts just an inch at first, then two, then rising fully into the air with perfect smoothness, revealing a hollow beneath it. Inside the hollow lies a tape. Not plastic. Not moderns. Not even like the others you found. This one is made of metal. Polished. Silver. Reflective. Your name is etched across the top. Not your childhood name. Not your married name. Just your name, unbound by any other identity. You reach for it with shaking fingers. Daniel places his hand on your wrist before you touch it. You should know, he whispers, that once you listen, the loop ends. Your pulse jumps. Ends how, you ask? No more forgetting, he says. No more chances to redo it. No more trying again. A cold weight settles in your chest. So if we fail, it becomes permanent, Daniel says quietly. Whatever happens next stays. You meet his eyes. A child's eyes shouldn't hold that much truth. But his do. Your voice comes out soft. Are you ready? He nods. The cat nudges your hand. You lift the metal tape. It hums faintly in your palm, not mechanical hum, but something alive, something waiting. You look around. There is no recorder here. There's no machine left to play it. Only the keyhole glowing with white light. Daniel points to it. That's the player, he murmurs. Your throat tightens. You slide the metal tape into the glowing indentation. The moment it touches light, everything goes silent. Completely silent. Even your heartbeat seems to pause. Then, a voice fills the cavern. Your voice. Not young. Not old. Not scared. Not broken. Steady. Clear. Whole. Hello, your voice says, warm as sunlight on a winter window. You made it. Your knees go weak. Daniel grips your sleeve, steadying you. The voice continues. You've been trying to fix something that wasn't broken. You've been trying to save someone who didn't need saving. You've been trying to outrun an absence that felt like a monster. The cavern pulses gently with each word. But the truth is simple. Your recorded voice softens. You didn't come here to change the past. You came here to forgive yourself for surviving it. Your lungs falter. Your eyes blur. Daniel leans his head against your arm, small and warm. The tape continues. You let go when you were little. Daniel let go too. Both of you ran from what you saw because you were children, and children aren't built to carry that kind of fear. The stone beneath you glows hotter. You've spent your life thinking you abandoned him, or that he abandoned you. A breath. But you abandoned yourselves the moment you chose forgetting over healing. Daniel squeezes your hand. Your voice says, the entity isn't your enemy, It's your memory, the dark parts, the unfinished parts, the parts you hid so deep they grew teeth. Your chest shakes. But they're yours, they were always yours, and they're ready to be put down. The light brightens. Daniel whispers, voice trembling. It's time. Your recorded self speaks the final words. You can leave now, you can remember now, you can go home. And then, silence. The metal tape dissolves into dust. The cavern retracts, light folding inward, walls collapsing without sound. The entity returns, but this time it stands differently. Not reaching, not looming, not whispering, just standing. A silhouette holding its shape for the first time. Human-shaped. Still faceless, still made of darkness, but smaller. Less frightening. Daniel steps toward it. You freeze. But he just lifts his hand. The entity tilts its head, then kneels. Daniel whispers something you can't hear. The entity nods. Nods. Then it dissolves. Gently, like steam disappearing into warm air. You can breathe again. Daniel turns to you. His expression is lighter, freer than you've ever seen. It's done, he says, we're done. The cavern brightens. White light swallowing everything. And when it fades, you're standing in the basement. The real basement. The tile is cracked but intact. The walls don't breathe. The air smells only of dust and old textbooks. Daniel is gone, but not in the frightening way. Gone like a child finally released from detention. The cat sits beside you, tail curled neatly, as if waiting for gratitude. You kneel and stroke its fur. Thank you, you whisper, for staying. It purrs a steady, content vibration. You stand, climb the stairs, push open the basement door. And for the first time, sunlight feels warm, solid, true. You leave the school. When you get home, you stand outside your daughter's room. You knock, not gently, not timidly. 3 strong knocks. She opens the door. Her eyes widen, surprised, guarded, ready to pull back. But you don't look away this time. Hey, you say softly, can we talk? She hesitates. Then she nods. Her voice is small. Yeah, I want that. Behind you, the cat trots into the hallway, tail high. Your daughter's face brightens. You found her. You smile, a real one. I found more than that. You step inside your daughter's room. And as the door closes, the last remnants of the school fade from your bones. The loop is broken. The past is held. The future is open. You have finally come home.